In this video, we're going to show you all the things that you can do in Split.
That's right, but before we show you all the details, here's a quick preview. Hey, good morning. So when you come to Split, there's a lot of history here. This city dates back to Roman times. So one thing that you got to do is take a tour, a history tour of the city, and we're going to do that today. Are you ready?
I'm ready.
All right, it's a beautiful morning. We arranged this tour before we arrived at the Viator website. I'll put a link below. Our meeting point was at the main entrance to Diocletian's Palace. This was a 90-minute walking tour where we learned all about the history of Split and also of Diocletian's palace. The palace was built by the Roman Emperor Diocletian for his retirement, and he lived here for about 11 years. There's lots of history to learn and lots of interesting things to see. The palace gets crowded during the day, so if you want to walk through with less crowds, come early in the morning. But if you come during the day, you'll be treated to the singers in the atrium. During the tour, you'll walk through the basement of the palace. Back in the Roman times, this was used as an area for trade. But later on, in the medieval times, it became a garbage dump. It's since been cleaned up, and it's a place where you can buy various merchandise from local vendors. And it's here that they filmed scenes from the Game of Thrones. This is where they kept the dragon. This tour was a great way to start our stay in Split, and we'd recommend it. So when you're in Split, since you're surrounded by water and there's islands off in the distance there, you got to do something on the water. Take a boat ride, take a boat excursion, and that's what we're doing today. We booked it on Viator before we got here. I'll put the link below. But if by chance you don't do it, every evening they have probably about 10 to 15 stalls set up right along here with tour operators who are selling excursions on the water. So you can always come down here in the evening and set something up and then go on out and have a beautiful day out on the Adriatic Sea. The dock where we met our boat was just a short walk from Split's promenade. Promenade's back over there. We're heading over here. You can also get multiple ferries to the different islands from this spot. We see a lot of people with suitcases that probably booked a hotel or a room on one of the many islands that surround the coastline here. But we think that our boat's going to be down here. Our boat arrived at spot number 5 at 9 a.m. This was an 8-hour tour of the water that included 3 stops, swimming, lunch, and wine. And it definitely attracted a younger crowd. There were so many people, we were afraid we wouldn't get a seat on the top of the boat. But then something unusual happened. All right, so we weren't sure we were going to get on board and get on top because there's such a big crowd, as you just saw. Then he said anyone with women and children go first, children go first. Then he said anyone that's over 60. 60. And we're like the only ones in the entire crowd that were over 60. And so, of course, I limped my way to make it look good. That's fun. And we're right on top. We have a prime location. So there's some benefits of being older, everyone. So if you're over 60, definitely come here and raise your hand when they ask for the seniors to come up first. So it's definitely a younger crowd. We're the only ones apparently that are over 60.
Looks like they had donuts down there.
Whether we'll go swimming or not, I'm not so sure. I will probably just hang out up here. Good spot, good view, Got a canopy on top, protect from the sun, so we're ready to go. After some brief comments from the captain, we were on our way. It was a great day to be out on the water, and it was about a 30-minute cruise until our first stop. So it's a little rocky, as you can see, nobody's seasick. They are offering free donuts at the start of the cruise, and we sent 2 people down to bring some donuts up. Everybody enjoyed the free donuts on the way to the first stop. All right, so this tour we're heading to 3 different islands. And you can do swimming, snorkeling if you want. There's also a restaurant. You can stop at a beach bar. And you see in the back of the boat, they have all the flotation devices if you want to float around. If you're not a good swimmer, just want to float, right there. It was a beautiful cruise, and although it was a little rocky, nobody felt sick. The first stop was at a lagoon where you could swim and snorkel and see a shipwreck. As we made our way to the second stop, lunch was served. Lunch was included, and you had a choice of beef, tuna, or a vegetarian burger. After swimming and having lunch, everybody sat back, relaxed, and enjoyed the view. Within no time, we arrived to our second stop, the island of Salta. Here we disembarked and were given over an hour to explore the island. So this is stop number 2. We're here for about an hour and 15 minutes. Walk around, grab a drink, grab a coffee, grab some olive oil. This island is known for its olive oil, and we did bring some home. It was delicious. After a cappuccino, we returned to our boat and headed to the third stop, the beautiful Blue Lagoon. So the third stop is the Blue Lagoon. You can get off the boat and float around, but they said don't walk on the ground, watch out for sea urchins. Or you can go on this little ramp area here off the boat and walk across the rocks. You will get wet. And go up to an area that has a little private beach and some lounge chairs, just kind of hang out. And they spend about an hour and a half here. After this, it's back to Split. This is Gray Line's private little beach area. They got a little bar, get a drink, hang out, get some sun or sit in the shade. Very nice.
Nice.
So I have to confess that when I booked this tour, I didn't know that Gray Line has a private beach they take it to. So definitely enhances the trip and really makes it a nice day out. Soon it was unfortunately time to leave the Blue Lagoon and head back to Split. Again, we booked this tour through Viator, but it was run by Gray Line, and the friendly crew did an excellent job. So we highly recommend this tour. Hey, another thing you can do when you visit Split, you should take a day trip to Dubrovnik. And that's what we're doing today. This was an all-day bus tour from Split to Dubrovnik, and we set it up through Viator. I'll put the link below. During the ride down in the bus, the tour director gave us lots of interesting information, all while we enjoyed the beautiful views. Of note, in the past, to get from Split to Dubrovnik, you had to pass through Bosnia, and you needed to have your passports. Well, about a year ago, they built a bridge that allows you to go from Split to Dubrovnik and stay in Croatia, so passports are no longer needed for the trip. And guess who built this bridge? A company from China. After about 3 hours in the bus, we arrived. All right, so we made it, and this tour includes a walking tour of the city, and then we have about 3 hours on our own. So the tour guide that came with us in the bus is going to tell us a little bit about the city. He apparently grew up in this area, so we're going to meet him over by the fountain and then go for a little tour. We followed our tour guide into the city behind the walls and began our tour. We learned a lot about the history of this area, but also that the Game of Thrones filmed many of their scenes right here. So if you're a Game of Thrones fan, apparently this spot was where they filmed the medieval market. Look familiar? And if you watch the Game of Thrones, you have to recognize this spot. This is where they filmed the Walk of Shame.
Shame! 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 Shame!
There is no charge to enter the ancient city and walk around, but there is a €35 charge if you want to walk on top of the walls that surround the city. So here's a hot tip. If you're going to spend any time here, get the Dubrovnik Pass, because that allows you access to all the sites in the area that require admission, and also allows you to climb and walk the entire wall around the old city. So Dubrovnik Pass. If I can find a link, I'll put a link below. Although it was a long bus trip to get here, we enjoyed our 3 hours that we spent in Dubrovnik and would recommend checking this city out. Hey, it's another beautiful day here in Split, and if you want a good day trip to get out of the city, we're going to Krka National Park through Viator. Link is below. There's Sue all ready to go to see the national park, and we have Tori and Chef Tony. Woohoo! So for this tour to the park, the price of the tour only includes the bus ride and the boat ride and the wine. You have to purchase the tickets to get into the national park the morning of the tour. And what you do is you head over to the Gray Line tour office right on the promenade here, and it's $30 a person during the summer and $16 in the fall per person to get into the park, and you have to pay cash. And that's what we're doing now. So once we paid our entrance fee, which is on top of the tour fee, as I said, we then were led to the bus by our tour director. We climbed on the bus and headed north to the national park. The good news is that the travel time from Split to the national park was only an hour and a half, and it was very scenic along the way. After we arrived, we followed the tour director to the entrance to the park. We then had time on our own to wander through and enjoy the scenery. As you can see, the park is known for its waterfalls, and the path of the park winds you around close to where they are flowing. So this is pretty unusual. Little waterfalls, and there's some bigger waterfalls up ahead, but it's like the river is dispersed through the trees where trees are growing, and they have this boardwalk that takes you all around. Near the end of the walk, you'll come face to face with the largest waterfall in this area of the park. After walking through the park, it was time for a boat ride down the river. So after a boat ride for about 20 minutes, you arrive at the town, and here you can get lunch, hang out, relax. And after we're here for a little while, the tour then takes us for a wine tasting. We were given enough time to walk this quaint medieval town and to grab some lunch. So food in Croatia is very generous portions. This is lunch. And that burger is huge, and my chicken burger is huge too. Yes, I'm eating chicken. After lunch, we jumped back on the bus and headed for a wine tasting. So we're in a wine cellar at a local vineyard in Croatia. And you can see how old these bottles look, covered in dust. Look at that. Who knows how long they've been here. The wine tasting was excellent, and if you're in Split, I'd say take this tour. I'll put the link below. It was a good day out, just like the other tours. So after this, we're heading back to Split. Everybody had a great time.
Minos, how was your day?
Until next time, safe travels.